Hi there, this is Abhishek, and in this video I will talk about the three different scenarios of incremental load. So if you are aware about incremental load, the three different scenarios are the first one is insert only. That means you have an existing table and you want to insert the newly added records from your transaction table to your reporting or the data warehousing table. The second scenario is insert and update. So most of the time it happens that you are not only inserting the new records, but you are also updating the existing records. Then how you will going to manage or handle that situation in QlikView. And the third one is insert, update and delete. That means sometimes if any of your product or information becomes obsolete and you don't want to keep it in your table, then how you will going to manage that scenario. So let's move on and talk about the first scenario, which is insert only. And here on the left hand side, the scenario is that we have a product table where we have a couple of existing records, and assumption that this table is stored as a QVD table in our QlikView or from our QlikView, and we want to add these new records into the QVD. So on the right hand side I have given the script. So this is just one way of writing the incremental load. However, there may be different other ways by which you can write the incremental load. So the main component which takes care of your new records which you want to add into this table is these variables runtime and last runtime, which does a validation with your last modified column in your table. So what happens is that we declare a vRuntime variable, that means the time on which we are running this table or getting the new records, and where we take the information about the timestamp by using the now function of QlikView. And what we are doing, we are simply converting it into a num. If you are not doing this, then QlikView throws an error of garbage collection or something. So it is important that you are putting the num, and within the num function you are taking now. After that, you simply load a table like any other load statement where you load different fields, and the last modified column is basically saying that it should be greater than or equal to vLast runtime. So what is vLast runtime? vLast runtime is here at the end. It takes the information from the previous load. That means at the previous load, whatever value was there here in this vRuntime, it gets assigned to the vLast runtime variable. So what happens in this case, that vLast runtime gets validated with last modified column. So here in this case, when you have last run it, the record table you have got at this point at 1st of March at 3 p.m. and when after that you have ran the load, it may be around let's say on 1st of March 4 p.m. you ran it. So probably 4 p.m. is the time which has been recorded in the last runtime. Now here, when you will again load it to insert these new records, it will check that last modified column should always have more than the value more than the last runtime. That means the second part should be greater than the previously loaded records. In this way, you will always have the latest records. So once you have done that, you concatenate your your base table with the QVD to append your records into the existing QVD table, and that's how you will going to be adding the new records and doing the insert only operation of incremental load. Now let's move on to the second option, which is insert and update only. So it is also pretty much the same thing, where we are declaring the vRuntime and same assignment is all happening over here, and the validation is happening, and finally concatenation is happening. But the change is this where clause, where not exist product ID. So in a simple English language, what it is basically saying that load all these records which are either new or updated and concatenate with these ones, but remove those records from the previous table which are having the same product ID. That means those product IDs which are same and the records have not been changed for them. So here exists play a major role in doing the update, where it stops the QVD from loading the outdated records, the duplicated records which are outdated. And as we have the updated records here from the updated table, the values of existing records which is in QVD gets automatically updated while they are in memory. So that's how your insertion of new records and updation of existing records happening without affecting those records which has no change at all. So let's move on to the third one, which is insert and update and delete. So here what we are trying to achieve is that if any of the product, so in this case product ID 1002 and 1004 has become obsolete, and what we want is that in QVD it should be removed as part of the incremental load, because we don't want to do any of the reporting or analysis in that case. So how we write the script is here in 3 steps. The first step is the same one, where we declare the variable vRuntime and then load the table and do this comparison that load only those records which are the latest one. Second, we concatenate like we have done in previous 2 cases. But the third one, the same QVD table is getting inner joined to the main table which we are loading, from which the effects are coming, and then based on the new information that we are getting that 2 records have become the obsolete and 2 records are less, this inner join is basically producing the matched outcome. That means records that are matching to both the tables. In that way, whatever earlier records which were available into the QVD removed because of the effects from the main table or the source table. So with this inner join, your delete operations get also performed along with insert and update. So that's how these 3 operations you can perform, and this is just one way by which you can do all of this operation. There may be various scenarios where you may not want to use this vRuntime variable and just want to use the last modified column, where you want to pick the maximum date from the last modified column and then do the comparison here in this column. So for that you may need to do some few more things, like picking up the last modified date in a new table or a resident load, and then using either previous or peak function figure it out the date which is the maximum date, here in this case this one, so that you record or you insert the record only those one which are greater than this. But even in that case you will have to store the value of the maximum date value into some kind of a variable. So if that is the situation, go ahead and use it. I've just told you the way at a very high level, and but every time situation is different, and we have to invent or generate a new logic as per the situation or how the situation demands. So this is a simple and introductory kind of a session for incremental loads, the 3 different types of incremental loads that happens. If you have information or seen some different ways or use the different ways of doing the incremental load, please do share it in comments so that others will be benefited by your knowledge. And that's all I wanted to share in this video, and I'll meet you in the new video, the new topic.